Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. The always interesting Wall Street Journal informed us on October 12th, the traditional Columbus Day, I think. Wall Street pay has hit a record of $144 billion. Gosh, isn't that something? $144 billion for Wall Street. You know, that's about the price of rebuilding the entire rail system from Boston to Washington, D.C., right, over 30 years. Why don't we cut the Wall Street parasites out of the game and use some of these resources? Again, monetary resources are simply a way to assign resources that you better have in real form. In other words, plant and equipment and productive labor, construction jobs, and high-tech engineering. $144 billion would go far. You could begin to rebuild the infrastructure of an entire region, be it the West Coast or the Northeast corridor here. But $144 billion for Wall Street is too much. They're rich enough now, so it's time to freeze foreclosures. And the general tendency in the world, which we'll talk about more next week, the rising tendency towards protectionism. Take a look at Tarpley.net, big article there about capital controls, how under the impact of the dollar going down, and dragging the renminbi with it because the Chinese are pegged to the dollar, all sorts of countries are invoking capital controls, exchange controls. Looks like Thailand is on the road to doing that. Other countries involved would be surprising ones. Poland, Brazil, very outspoken. Japan, having intervened in September, looks like they're getting ready to intervene now. As a month ago, that Japan started this on September 15th. So we also see the tendencies towards other kinds of protectionism, which I think are quite healthy. We would need a modest protective tariff of 10 or 15%. Something between a revenue tariff and a protective tariff would be a good step in the right direction. House of Representatives lashes out on China. Bill would give the U.S. the power to levy tariffs because of the currency. Well, they have a right to do what they want with their currency, but on the other hand, you have a right to do what you want with your tariff structure. Americans sour on trade, worries the Wall Street Journal. Majority say free trade pacts have hurt the U.S. Wedge issue in some races. Yeah, down with free trade. Stop it. The giant sucking sound. Perot was right. There was a giant sucking sound, and millions of productive jobs went there, and the impoverishment it's caused in Mexico has also been the key thing to having so many refugees, economic refugees, coming across the U.S. border. But now let's look at the political situation. 35 years ago this month, we had President Gerald Ford's Halloween massacre. Ford's Halloween massacre, October 31st, 1975. What was it? Well, it was a mass demotion and firing of top officials. Vice President Nelson Rockefeller was dropped from the ticket, clearing the way to Ford and Bob Dole running in 1976. But powerful Nelson Rockefeller, one of the bosses of the finance oligarchy, was basically told, Nelson, you are out. You are poison. Can't stay. Henry Kissinger was kicked out of the White House. He was allowed to stay as Secretary of State, but he lost his post as head of the National Security Council, and he was replaced, unfortunately, by the angel of death, Brent Scowcroft, but that was a change. William Colby was ousted as the head of the CIA. James Rodney Schlesinger, Rodney the Robot, was ousted from the Pentagon, I believe it was at the time. That's the Halloween massacre. And people also go back to Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre, which was not as big, didn't involve officials at the same level, but that was firing of Archibald Cox and a bunch of Justice Department officials until, who was it, Rehnquist was willing to carry out the firings. In the case of Obama, we've now got the intelligence czar Blair is out. The budget boss Orszag is out. Christina Romer, White House economic advisors, out. Larry Summers, top liaison to Wall Street, out. Rahm Emanuel, White House chief of staff, out. Axelrod, image consultant and demagogue, also out. McChrystal out for whatever that's worth. Gates now talking about leaving. It has been a mass exodus, and in the middle of all this, we go to the interesting website newsflavor.com, and we also supplement that with some material from Wayne Madsen. This guy, Ulsterman, is an unknown, alleged former official of the Obama White House. Some think it's General Jones. Some think it's Greg Craig. Some think it's Orsag. Some think it's Blair. Some think it's Romer. Nobody knows. But it's somebody from the inside, and it may well be. I don't know, but plausible enough. And we're told of an atmosphere of growing paranoia, growing mental depression, really mental breakdown on the part of Obama, and tremendous intrigue, clashes, screaming, cursing. Couple of examples. The thesis is that Rahm Emanuel was driven out of the White House by Valerie Jarrett, Michelle Obama, and David Axelrod, who hate him for various reasons. They suspect that he's dealing with the Clintons, for whom he worked, even though we also learned that Hillary Clinton has not stopped hating Rambozo Emanuel. The story about running for mayor of Chicago, allegedly a face-saving cover story. We'll give more examples, but we've been covering this. Remember the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, German newspaper, saying that the main financial angels of the Democratic Party are urging Hillary to run and to oust Obama. We also have the continuous coverage in the Globe, right, the supermarket tabloid, repeated clashes between Obama and Michelle over her trip to Spain, her shopping expenditures, and all sorts of other things. We have this revelation that Carla Bruni, the First Lady of France, Sarkozy's wife, says that Michelle thinks living in the White House is hell. We had that example where Spitzer and Parker of CNN were doing psychoanalysis, right? Obama on the couch and why he can't fight because of his childhood and all the rest of it. The Bob Woodward book is also factored in because there we find various revelations about how General Jones thinks that Obama's political advisors are the water bugs, and then Jones departs. So we're getting the equivalent of the Halloween massacre rolled up in one day then, and now over a couple of months. Let's just see now. Tremendous vendetta of the White House against Pelosi. Obviously the question, who's going to be scapegoated? A kind of a convergence between Pelosi and Rahm Emanuel against Jarrett, Axelrod, Michelle. Obama described in this as essentially being detached, aloof, eager for adulation, going out on the road and looking for the adulation of the crowds, suffering from severe narcissism. We're even told that Bohemian Grove, in the late summer, the Bohemian Grove meeting of top oligarchs discussed the severe narcissism of Obama. We're told that Pelosi is likely to be ousted, that Robert Gibbs, the spokesperson, is going to be ousted. Another person likely to be ousted is one who is supposedly secure. Brennan, the top national security advisor in practice, is under pressure because they've discovered that he may have been part of snooping into Obama's passport file at the State Department. So it's the court of Heliogabalus, as I wrote in Barack H. Obama, the unauthorized biography. I compared this to Septimius Severus, Caracalla, and Heliogabalus. And Heliogabalus had a real court of intrigue, and we'll be back in a minute.